Good evening, everybody. Summertime is over for us in the European continent, but of course that means we're back for Formula Sprint 1 action here in GPVW. This evening we have a substitute in place for Ed Hunter, who's in commentator Caitlin Penny. Caitlin, how are you getting on?
Hello. Yes, I'm very good, thanks. It's good to be back in Formula Sprint 1. So there may be some little anecdotes and stuff that I've missed out on. So it's good to be here.
Absolutely, yeah. I think your connection may have just dropped a little bit in and out, but yeah, we'll make sure to be wary of that. So yeah, this is a crucial round for the championship. Monza does have its ability to throw up a few surprises, and yeah, certainly with Italian representation up and down the grid, those drivers will really want to shine in front of their home crowd. But with qualifying set to begin, we do have one driver of prime importance not here just yet. It is Victor Ivanov, not present in the server just yet. So with Mike Quint ahead in the championship after the 11th round back in Spa-Francorchamps, which was the one I had to sit out for as well. So it was pretty evenly matched between the two major contenders, but Ivanov cannot get on the grid, then that will give Quint an amazing advantage already. So see now how things go as we prepare for our 15-minute qualifying session set to begin in just a moment. But of course, a lot of other drivers in the championship still within touching distance. Watson for NetRex and Hamming for HGP. They're still in contention with an to close the gap, which in Amari's case, it's 68 points, and Frank's, it's 93 points off the lead. So yeah, they really do need to have some remarkable results to close the gap to Quint. So here we go. Lane will be about to open in a few seconds' time, and hope everyone in YouTube chat join in the chat. So I suppose he's been working really, really hard so you can enjoy this one as a spectator. You know, we're cutting Oh dear. Okay. So, pardon me for cutting out. We'll try and resolve that as best we can. So it is potentially eager to get a lap time set. So yeah, we'll just quality broadcast.
Okay, I'm just going to cut in quickly and speak to Remco, our cameraman. This is the cutting out issue that I was telling you about just before we started going live. Discord has been doing this a lot recently. I think that this is an issue with Discord. I don't think it's a connection issue on any of our ends. So just so you know, if we can, I don't know, maybe put something alternative in place during the broadcast if there is an opportunity to do that. Then that might be an option, but otherwise this cutting out issue might just be something we'll have to put up with today.
Yeah, cheers for that, Caitlin. Yeah, apologies again to everyone spectating. You want to make sure we'll have a smooth production, and it is a shame just outside of our control. And we'll do our best, of course. So yeah, make sure we can cover this qualifying session to the best of our abilities. With Watson on board here, he's won this race last year, race 2. Success for him. That was a long time in coming. So he'll repeat the trick and get himself yet more points for himself and his team. And that records, of course, are leading the team's championship by 50 points from Multiforce, 487 to 437. And today, yeah, the fact that Monza really will be a case where the downforce, you can take a little bit of downforce off and get the top line speed as high as possible. So you're already curb there for Amari. Gotta watch out here into the 2 right-handers coming up. Got a nice application there, and we'll see how he gets on for a split time. Menno Klont has a purple sector 1 at the moment at 29.4. Amari is at 29.5. Let's see if he can tease a potential pole position. No, he seems to be a little bit down. So Loic Meunier, who's stepping in to drive one of the King's racing cars, has purple sector 2. And now through the parabolic, there we go. It is still Menno on course for a strong lap time here, but we'll know exactly what's going on when everyone gets their banker lap set, Caitlin. And we're excited to see what lays in store for us.
Yes, indeed. So the first time's being set now. First across the line, Loic Meunier is 0.5 of a second up on Pavel Andrzejewski. So those are the top 2 as it is. Tom Satherley is in 3rd place. Currently the only MS performance car on the server. We're very much hoping that Viktor Ivanov can get in for the championship and just in general. Of course, there are supposed to be 30 cars here in total. There are currently 28. The 2 that are missing are 1 MS performance car, presumably Viktor Ivanov, and 1 Pixelate car as well. So we'll keep an eye out and see if they are able to join as the session goes on. But if not, then we're not going to end up with a full house today. But yes, the top 3 are now Loic Meunier, Pavel Andrzejewski, and Harry Smith, who has gone up to 3rd place in Netrex GP, Eoin.
Yeah, great showing thus far for Netrex. They have been really, really solid all year long. They want to get some more silverware in the cabinet to back up that claim, and certainly the team's championship would be a phenomenal achievement. So yeah, that's their main target, but of course getting the individual rewards for strong performances in our double header events each and every second Thursday. And now we're back from the break. So Jason Muscat unfortunately was not happy with how that lap went, and he's going to try again. So yeah, quick. You got to be really quick here on Monza because the pit lane is so long, and the start finish straight, you're going to hit an enormous top speed that you're going to lose a lot of time hanging around in pit lane if you're not careful. So yeah, definitely every driver, once they get back into pit lane, they need to be ready to go straight away to try another lap time.
Yeah, so Loic Mounier heading out onto the track once again. Of course, he had to drive his way back into the pit lane. You're not allowed to teleport your way back in, even though that is possible on this sim. So that cost him a little bit of time, but he's been able to get his new tires bolted on, get his car refueled, and head back out onto the track for another shot at an even quicker time. Not that he needs it for the time being. He is in the lead of the session and would have pole position if it was to finish like this, but of course it won't finish like this. We have 9 more minutes to go, and it's usually the last lap that the drivers set that is the fastest one and the most important in the course of the day. Now, if you're wondering why these 2 cars that we've just taken a look at can't see each other, how we've just swapped back to another car and then the one ahead has gone invisible, it's because we have single person qualifying. So everyone shares the track at the same time, but they cannot interact with each other in any way. There's no slipstream, there's no contact, and that means that it's just down to the driver to get the utmost performance they can from the the utmost performance that they can from the car without the aid of getting a big old slipstream from a teammate or anything like that we would normally see at the Monza circuit.
Yeah, exactly. There's no more prevalent venue to have teammate cooperation in our calendar than Monza. Perhaps Baku, of course, coming up soon, is the more modern example where you can help each other out, but Monza has more straights, so you could potentially pick 2 or 3 different spots for a little bit of slipstream benefit. But in the case of the private qualifying session, everyone's out on track, but they cannot interact with each other, as you put perfectly there, Caitlin. So with about halfway through the session now, it's still Loic Mounier on provisional pole. That would be an outstanding result. Kings Racing, I know they were a bit bruised after an enormous shunt. So they have Mounier on pole ahead of Pavel Andriuski for Parallax Alpino. So yeah, definitely a chance for other teams who are willing to perhaps take a gamble on their downforce. They're able to push on and challenge some of our championship contenders. Mike Quint in 11th place in the number 11. Nice and apt, but he's certainly trying to break through into the top 10 with this lap. He hugs the inside line to reduce the cornering, and he's able to sprint up to 3rd position ahead of Jason Muscat now. So interestingly, Muscat is the manager of Multiforce, and Mounier again, oh my word, to find nearly 3/10 on his opposition in equal machinery. That is quite something to savour there, Caitlin.
Watch this from Szymon Frelick. This will be an improvement for him. Might well put him into the top 10. Wow, it's not just the top 10, it's 2nd position. So a big lap from Szymon Frelick. Loic Mounier, of course, would have been caught with that lap had he not just improved. So that's the important from Loic Mounier. Szymon Frelick is in 2nd place, and the 2nd row of the grid at the time being would be Pavel Andrzejewski, who's currently in the pits, alongside Mirko Lucchini in the Alpha Delta racing car. Here's Oliver Tarras in the Lunark car, currently in 8th position. We'll put him on the 4th row of the grid. Monza is a circuit where you can pretty much win from anywhere. It's a great circuit for slipstream battles, and it can be fairly difficult to overtake here, simply because every car has such a low downforce setup, and it means that when you reach the straight, the slipstream's not quite as powerful as it would be at some other circuits, but it is down to the Rettifilio and other corners as well. Here's Oliver Tarras up to the line, P4, so moves himself onto the 2nd row of the grid, just 0.3 of a second behind the provisional pole sitter Mounier.
Yeah, really impressive. Again, Lunark, one of those teams. They're in the midfield battle, tiling across the line, 12th quickest there, gaining, I think, a few positions there. Yeah, he was 19th before, so very valuable for him. Lunak, they're 9th in the team's championship, just a single point behind Parallax Volpino. 122 points to 121. Every single point really does matter for the teams, battling away in the middle of our table. There's a long gap though to Kaizen Kota or KKR for short, and they're 181 points with Tylene as one of the drivers. So yeah, that is a long way to go. But now Hamming, if he can pull off this lap, he could get himself well up the order and to potentially threaten Munier and Freilich, some of our protagonists that we saw full time last season in FS1. Freilich, of course, is now back after signing the deal with Griffon, and Munier is subbing in for King's Racing. So Hamming again, Green's Sector 2 split time. So definitely the top 10 has to be the target now at this stage. It's looking like a strong lap time here through the Parabolica to finish up the lap. He's going to use all that high line as best he can and then cut in for maximum benefit. So let's see if he can threaten the 128 zeros. Oh, it's just a 128.6 in the end. And it's 13th place, so he doesn't quite get that top 10. Harry Smith, though, it's his turn next, so the margins 4/10ths behind, Quint 4700s behind, Muscat 4800s behind, and so on. So that is the territory where there's little to separate our drivers. Harry Smith wants to get out of that gaggle and into potentially the second row, just missing out there, unfortunately, with a slower final sector than his personal best. Yeah, he is supporting his chances for success with the NetRex team pretty nicely thus far. But of course, his teammate not where he wants to be in P14. And now we'll check out Munier again here. Caitlin, oh, he rides a lot of Lesmo gravel and the curb for sure, so he's a bit aggressive this lap, I'm afraid.
He'll lose a 10th or two with that, but he did gain a 10th in the first sector, so let's keep throw you off your momentum. He lost 4/10ths in that sector in the end, so clearly lost a lot more momentum than it previously seemed. I can't imagine this will be an improvement from Loic Mounier, and I think everyone else is going to breathe a sigh of relief because that lap was looking rather daunting in the first sector. Now, I've noticed a lot of purple first sectors out there, not necessarily true purples. They're showing up as purple on the timing screen because they are faster than the leader's time in that first sector. But then they lose time in the second and third sectors. That shows you that Loic is good at a particular part of the course. Slight improvement from Andrzejewski. He stays P3, but he is 0.2 of a second off Loic Mounier. Mirko Lucchini there is in the pits, should head out now. There he goes, because any later than this and you'd risk not getting a final flying lap in. And here is Justin van der Smissen, currently in 25th position. But yes, as I was saying, you can sometimes tell how a car is set up by which sectors it's quickest in. So the first sector has the heaviest braking zones down into Retifiglio, and then the Varianti, I can't remember the name of the second chicane, but into that particular chicane, you have another semi-heavy braking zone. The second sector is a higher downforce. Little twitch from Amari Watson. And for one more at the end of this one, Eoin, because we're into the final minute, which is crunch time.
Without a doubt, yeah, there's still so much to be gained or potentially lost for our drivers here in the battle for pole position. His provisional pole, I'm not sure if that time is beatable. But yeah, with Watson here, we'll have to try and push on. He's perhaps backed off this lap to go all out with the finale to come. So yeah, definitely an unrepresentative time here for Watson, and maybe he's had to back out of it. So that could be a really difficult ride here for Watson, all the way down to 17th now as more times fly in.
Taras. Really
Yeah,
sorry, Taras is in the pits, so he will not be improving in this session. And of course, we're about to see the checkered flag, and when we see that, only the drivers who are still on a flying lap will be able to set their times. Shimon Frelich is one who has got in a time before the checkered flag has come out, so he will be able to complete this lap in his attempt for pole. I'll be keeping an eye on the sector splits to see if there's any improvement. Andrzejewski is also on a lap, but his second sector was 20 seconds down, so the lap's not going to count, and into the barriers goes Frelich. A big crash, and that will end his qualifying session. So the best that he can do at this point in time is second. The top 4 cars, with the exception of Mounier, are all in the pits. So I think that Mounier has got pole position. He's a little twitchy through there. He was up on his own time in is an improvement from Watson here, 3/10 up in the second sector. What can he do in the third? Nothing at all, because he's in the pits. So I think that's all that we're going to see for pole. I think Loic Mounier has bagged that pole position now, but let's keep an eye on the scrap for the other positions.
Yeah, Tom Satterley is carrying the MS Performance flag on his own here. Jake Dennehan, of course, swapped in for him at Spa-Francorchamps. So he's back and ready to push on without his teammate even off thus far. So 7th position for the Kiwi. Really good lap time there. Harry Smith withdraws that lap time, so he won't get to challenge beyond the 3rd row. And yeah, it seems like that's everything. Everything has been resolved in this qualifying session. So congratulations to Loic Mounier and Kings Racing for the pole position time. A 1:28.0 was just unbeatable for the remaining 27 drivers. Frelich with Grifone, Italian Pride, parrying him to the front row. Andrzejewski and Taras, very good results for their respective teams, with Roszak similarly enough there. So Parallax Alpino have a trick up their sleeves here with the low downforce setup. Harry Smith getting the best of the Netrex team there in 6th. Then we have Satterley, Lucchini, Knox, who's subbing in today for Kaizen Kota Racing, and Mike Quint gets a top 10. Lucas Tylene just behind his new teammate there, temporary teammate in 11th. Then Jason Muscat for HGP, Federico Russo, Robin Mulling, and Menno Klont are in points-paying positions. Frank Hamming, I'm sure he'll be a bit disappointed with 16th, but of course we know how skillful he is in the race trim. Then we have Amari Watson, another big name in the championship, just outside the points. Matteo Sabinski for Hyperion is 18th. Massimiliano Raboli, one of our many Italians, 19th, and Philip Koenig is 20th. Then our remaining drivers from 21st down, we have Daniel Scott, Luke Mitchell, Junio Lopez, Matthews Dabrowski, Owen Kvo-Hausvik, and Justin van der Smissen there. Sandra Van Sands for the other 100-to-1 car, 27th, and the other VMS Sonnettes of David De Vries is 28th. So I think now might be a good time to take a few minutes away for a break so we can try and resolve our issues with the Discord audio. So stay tuned. We'll be back for race 1. And welcome back, everybody. We've tried our best in the background to prevent the audio being cut out in the middle of our sentences. So if it still happens, then we do apologize, but we'll just have to manage the best we can. So I hope you understand, but we'll do our utmost to present race 1 and beyond to the best of our abilities here at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, with 26 laps to come in race 1 and then the 18-lap sprint. So myself and Caitlin Penny will pick up where we left off, with the warm-up session, with Robin Mulling getting the quickest time of 1:30.1. So crucial data for the teams to pick up. The strategies will be very important here, Caitlin, as track position so important, with the pit lane being as long as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, everyone will have to make a pit stop, so that is inevitable. It will only be a one-stop race. Complicated strategies will come in for the Super Lights and Super League races next week, but today we're expecting one stop only in the main race, and then, of course, a choice of no stops or one stop in the second race, although with the pit lane this long, I would be leaning towards a no-stop second race. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. In the meantime, we have 28 drivers getting ready to do battle here. We have the conspicuous absence of Viktor Ivanov, second in the championship, who is not here today, and we have absolutely no reason for that. I have been asking around just so I can report the reason to you, but all I've been able to find is that he was practicing for this event. I found some videos of him practicing, and yet no excuse for his absence. So something has happened that has not allowed him to update us on the situation. We're also missing one of the not parallax. What's the other?
It's
Pixelate, that's the other thing. I knew it started with a P. We're missing one of those cars as well. So 28 of a possible 30 cars are here today, but still more than enough to put on a show, and I'm looking forward to the start of this one.
Yeah, without a doubt. As I say, the grid is a little bit mixed up compared to our standard baseline, I suppose. Indeed, having a substitute on pole position here, as we'll describe in our formation lap rundown. Loic Meunier giving Kings Racing their best shot at an overall victory for the first time this season. So big chance here with Shimon Frelick, the former TOP driver, now with Grifoni in second, Andrew Yuski P3, followed by Oliver Taras in fourth, Patrick Roszak, Harry Smith, Tom Satterley, and Mirko Lucchini complete 5th through 8th. The top 10 belongs to James Knox in 9th, and Mike Quint, the championship leader, without a head-to-head rival at the moment, in 10th. Lucas Tylene in the other KKR is 11th. Jason Muscat in 12th. Robin Mulling with Team Rookie Monster, of course, they had great results in Spa last month. He's 13th. Menno Klont, the 14 and 14th. Frank Hamming 15th, and Amari Watson down in 16th. Matthews Zabinski's first Hyperion with Federico Russo, one of the many Italians, of course, Riboli and Koenig in the top 20. Daniel Scott, Luke Mitchell, Junio Lopez, and Mateusz Dabrowski, 21st through 24th. Then we've the 100 to 1 cars together, Owen Vilhausvig and Sandro Van Sand. Must be a penalty awarded to one of the VMS Hondenets. They're down in the final row, 27th and 28th, Caitlin. In qualifying, of course, I think it was Vander Smissen who split the 100 to 1 cars, but now he may have a penalty to serve. I'm not 100% sure on that myself. So, from my memory, VMS Hondenets did split up the 100 to 1s, but they may have to serve some sort of penalty that brings them all the way back to the rear of the field. But crucial bit of temperature to be put into the tires. Andrew Yuski weaving around to make sure he gets everything sorted. But this perhaps is the best opportunity so far this season for one of our teams pulling in the mid-pack to try and win a race, as it has generally been the KKR team. They had a wonderful start. They've been our team capable of victories, but also troubling results as well. So Kings Racing, this is a golden opportunity to try and catch up to Pixelate in the championship.
And Loic Meunier is quite a substitute to have. He's a GPVWC Super League racer. He finished 4th at the Spanish Grand Prix early this year. He stood on the podium in Super Lights. He's won races in Formula Sprint 2, won 4 races from only a handful of starts. And I think he's going to be very hard to beat today, despite the fact this track is one you can overtake at. Watch for the lights. When they go out, we will be underway for 26 laps of racing. I'll hand back over to you for the start.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. We have our lights, and it's time to let them lead. Here we go. A great start for Frelick. He'll have the inside line for Del Rettifilio. So a chance for Andrzejewski as well. He's got a bunch up behind. Watching there, that will be Quint on the grass briefly, but Meunier then turns it around to maintain position. You can see the Lunark of Taras also trying to hang on tight, but Roshak has gained that position, and in fact, yeah, Taras and Smith, I think they've swapped around. So crucial moments early on here. Parallax 3rd and 4th, but Meunier hangs on, and he doesn't allow for any sneaky moves around the outside at De La Roggia. So here we go, Meunier now trying to hang on through the Lesmos to see if he can lead the first lap.
Yeah, really good start for the Parallax Volpino racing cars there of Andrzejewski and Roszak, holding 3rd and 4th position off the line. Meunier, we knew, was likely to lead up into turn 1. Frelick gave it a good shot. He was right alongside him, right the way through to the exit of turn 2, but had to concede in the end. And it was a relatively clean start as well. You can see the whole field is still separated by 10 seconds, which shows that there were no serious incidents with drivers spinning to the back of the order. I am speaking too soon, of course. We haven't yet completed the first lap, and last time I said that in a Super League race there was a big 3-car pile-up at Hockenheim, but we're okay for the time being. Watch them on the straight now. This is Slipstream Central, and it looks as if Harry Smith is the first one to line up for a move. This is for 4th place.
Yeah, we don't even need DRS straight away. Of course, it's coming very soon, but in a 1v1 battle, Smith to the inside. Oh, he has to brake a little bit earlier. Roszak had his number. But of course, yeah, the crucial bid here for Meunier's point of view is he'll want to make sure the Parallax cars are able to keep DRS on Frelick, so that there's more to think about for the Polish driver, as pointed out by Ed in the chat. So I'm sure he'll have plenty to say as the race progresses. I think that was one of the KKRs going for a move into the chicane. May not have worked out as expected, so he falls back into place. So yeah, Knox, for the moment, he'll try and beef up his teammate, and maybe they can work together through the pack as the tires start to bed in a bit. The vast majority of drivers are on the soft compound tire. I think the outliers are Riboli for Pixelate on his own, of course, in the team, and Daniel Scott, the second of the Team Rookie Monster drivers. So yeah, it seems like the one stopper is going to be pretty common. It's just a case of when you take that one stop.
Championship leader Mike Quint is running in 8th position in the early stages. He's there he is. He's right between Tom Satherley and Mike Quint. Satherley with a decent start as well, running in 7th position. It's worth noting that despite being almost 4/10 off of Meunier's time in qualifying, Satherley did have the fastest sectors in sectors 2 and 3, indicating that either his car's really not set up for the heavy braking zones of turns 1 and 4, or he made a mistake in the first sector in qualifying and is capable of more. I would lean more towards the latter, and I would keep an eye on Tom Satherley as the race goes on. So at the end of lap 2, it's Meunier, Frelick, Andrzejewski, Roszak and Smith, the top 5. And from this lap, I believe DRS will be active.
Yeah, it should be active for definite at this stage. I think the new rule from real life F1 and the likes has translated over to GPVWC on cars needing to take the off-road path, I suppose. Maybe a mistake or two has been made, so the pack will shuffle around the place. But of course, yes, this is absolutely priceless for the championship here, with Tom Satherley on his own here. He needs to protect Ivanov's disadvantage for not being here as best he can, and keep Quint behind him just to limit the damage that Quint is able to inflict.
Yeah. I think Lucas Stylen was involved in the collision that we saw in the background, because he's dropped out of the top 10, and Jason Muscat is continuing to drop down the order. I think he must have damage. So we're going to see a replay. I'm expecting this to be between Stylen and Muscat. There's Justin van der Smissen starting from the pit lane in the VMS Sun Edits car. VMS Sun Edits currently last in the Teams Championship, has a lot of ground to be gained. And now we're looking at Lucas Stylen, and we're heading towards the Del Roger. Oh, and he gets taken out from behind by one of the HGP cars and then whacked. And then he's absolutely whacked. Is that Lucchini?
Yeah,
Muscat's the car that's hit him from behind.
Yeah, it would have been an Alpha Delta for certain. Federico Russo, as a matter of fact.
Russo, yeah.
That caused a consternation among the drivers who had nowhere else to go, seeing the spun car. So we'll get on board with Russo himself, and yeah, you see he's absolutely nowhere to go. He's got Amari Watson for company to his left, so he's absolutely boxed in. Nowhere was safe for him to go, so there's no alternative. So in the pit lane already, Koenig and Tylene have to pit. We'll see the timing tower for the bottom 5 in the 26th or bottom 3, I beg your pardon. So Russo, Muscat also electing to pit, so no retirements in this early stage, thank goodness. But it's going to be extremely difficult to make up the time. You're going to be a lap down before too long with the race leader Munier. Now a second clear of Freilich, with DRS out of reach now for Shimon. And his job now is to keep Andrzejewski similarly behind in the interval, but at the moment, yeah, I think Andrzejewski will have a shot of DRS. It's so close, but yeah, perhaps he has just about made it. At the activation zone on board here with Oliver Taras, still waiting for an opportunity to get back past Harry Smith, to get Lunark a healthy dose of points, knowing that Luke Mitchell in 16th has to try and pass Menno Clant to get a double score for the Lunark team.
So the top 4 spreading out a little quicker than we'd maybe expect. There's over a second between those 4 cars now, between each of them. So that means that DRS is not going to play much of a part unless they can reel that gap back in. Harry Smith is still within DRS range of Patrick Rojak, as are Taras, Savelli, Quint, Lucchini and Knox from each other. And sorry to Lucchini for mixing him up with his teammate in that incident that we just saw. Well done to everyone who was involved in that incident for continuing on in the race. There is a reason to do that, and that is that where you finish here determines your starting position for race 2. So even if your race is going really, really badly and you've dropped right to the back, you can still gain positions by staying out if other people end up retiring from the race, and that will put you ahead of them for the starting grid in race 2. So in Formula Sprint 2 and Formula Sprint 1, which is what we're watching now, it's always worth finishing the first race, no matter how badly it's going for you. Now we watch Oliver Taras as he slipstreams up to the back of Harry Smith, takes a look to the inside. This is an overtaking opportunity, but you have to be a bit further alongside than that. I think there was a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, and Smith maintains his position as he had the track position to do so.
Of course, yeah, perfectly legitimate defense there from Smith. He used the left turn at the chicane just to make sure he could keep all 4 wheels in front. And yeah, there was nothing Oliver could have done in that stage. He was just needing to perhaps outbrake the Netrex driver to stand a chance, but it was just side by side. So when the cars turned back to the left, it was back in Smith's control. Quint still unable to find a way past Satterley, but surely he's not going to panic whatsoever. He'll wait and wait until the moment is absolutely right for him. It may not be until the very end of the race, but he will do it when he senses it's possible. But for now, Caitlin, I don't think he's under any undue orders to do anything rash. He's got plenty of points anyway, so he can do what he likes.
Yeah, Mike Quint is taking points out of his main championship rivals. He's extending his championship lead. And don't forget, positions 6 to 10 are the potential reverse grid pole positions. So that means that Smith, if he is to finish in 8th place, has a 3 in 5 chance of starting from a higher position than he otherwise would in the reverse grid race. So it's a good position for him to be in. I can't imagine that he's under much stress to make up places here, but he absolutely will want to anyway, because that is how racers work. There's Mirko Lucchini, Alpha Delta Racing in 9th position, very much representing Alpha Delta Racing now that Russo has dropped to the back. And you see this DRS train forming. This kind of thing happens when the car at the front of the pack is just about too quick to overtake. It's very difficult to overtake in the corners, so if you have a car that's better on the straights, then you can just get the exit of the corner better and accelerate away, and then there's not much that anyone else behind you can do. And even if you theoretically have a slower car around a lap, it's the straights that count, and it means that the cars do tend to bunch up like this and create a bit of a snaking effect. It can be quite beautiful actually when they reach a straight. Oh, big twitch from Lucchini here. This might give a chance to Knox, and Knox is going to go side by side with him, go up to 9th position, and there you see that snaking effect that I was about to mention, where one car moves on the straight and all the cars behind follow them to get that maximum slingshot effect. But Knox has used it to his advantage, and he knocks off another place.
Yeah, he's got outstanding grip here. I'm sure he's had time to have a little bit of practice with the car, but yeah, to be 9th at this stage is brilliant. It was a shame for Lucchini. Oh yes, Taras trying the same trick again. Maybe the exit into Curva Grande now could help, but alas, no. It's another covering maneuver here for Smith, but now if he leaves the door open for Della Roggia, then there will be a gleeful attack here for Taras, but again, no, he just cannot secure the absolute pass, so he's got to sit behind. He should be taking care of those tires as best he can, because if he burns them up too much too soon, it could be a similar case. Lucchini, is he back past Knox? Maybe Knox made a mistake somewhere. I didn't see where, but yeah, just about to say, Lucchini back ahead of Knox. So yeah, we'll see the sector times come up in just a moment to confirm what may have happened. So Lucchini, there we go. Yeah, he gained about a second there, or 0.2, something like that. So yeah, that was a bit unusual. Yeah, Lucchini back ahead, so Knox has to build himself back up from scratch. And watching out in his mirrors, there he is, Frank Hamming in the HGP.
Indeed, I noticed Knox get a little twitchy through the Del Roggia, which is the chicane that I couldn't remember the name of earlier on. And I wonder if... And off! And Mike Quint's crashed! And James Knox has lost his front left wheel, and... No, it's not Quint. My apologies. It's not Quint who's been involved with him, but James Knox is badly out of this race into the barriers, and it is Mirko Lucchini who was involved in that. So we're going to see a replay. And here is Lucchini, who loses control. He spins the car around. Knox had nowhere to go except into the barriers, and that is really unfortunate stuff. Knox completely the innocent victim. Lucchini continues on. James Knox is out of the race.
Oh, that is absolutely heart-wrenching. Yeah, you can see he may have hesitated. He wanted to turn right, but of course there would have been Hamming behind him, and that could have caused another accident. So yeah, really difficult split-second decision to make there. Unfortunately, Knox had no alternative. He's crashed his front left tire, sending it airborne. So yeah, I totally sympathise with both drivers there, and that is an awful shame. But of course, yeah, he wanted to try and park it in the pits. So thankfully, yeah, he didn't spin on the racing line. So out of the race. And Lucchini well and truly out of the points, but I think he's able to carry on in 17th for the moment. But those tires may be in a danger zone if he hasn't prevented any flat spotting, for example. So it does split up the bottom 9 drivers from Hamming down, unfortunately, Caitlin.
Yeah, there is Mike Quint. Apologies for getting him mixed up in this. And there is a move. Oliver Taras up to the inside of Harry Smith. He's tried this twice already, hasn't been able to pull it. He's got to try something different now. He's tried that 3 times, and Smith has been able to hold it on the inside line. He can keep doing that all he likes, but Harry Smith clearly has the answer to it. What about here, up to Del Roggia? Takes a look to the inside line. He will get further alongside than he did a lap ago. Here's his chance. He brakes later. They have to turn in eventually. He gets on the curb. There's contact. Smith goes sideways, and he's going to lose 2 more places here as Satherley and Quint come through. So I think, from first observation, I think that was fair racing, and they're very lucky that they both got away with that, but Smith was forced over the curb and now down 2 places.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument to be made there. Both drivers, I think, were compliant with certainly the having the 2 front tires in front, and yeah, maybe leaving a car's width that could have been open to interpretation there. But yeah, I suppose Harry is able to drive on, and yeah, he still has the slipstream on Quint here. So yeah, it's a shame, but I suppose yeah, Oliver feels he was pushing so hard to make the pass. He was able to sit back and realize, okay, the move's not on this lap, I'll try again next time. So he finally gets his opportunity, and he's going to try his very best to absolutely sprint clear of Satherley, but he won't allow that whatsoever, because once again the MS Performance team need to have a buffer here over Malta Force. I know they're so close in the Teams Championship as well, with Menno Clancy's perhaps undoing the hard work of Satherley here by gaining the chunk points for 13th there, 3 points for 13th. But now Kings Racing, they have Junio Lopez here in 17th on top of race leader Munier. So they'll be rooting on their second substitute driver as enthusiastically as possible. So his chase is on here, looking to try and overtake Phil Hausvik, with Deborah Bowley there now in the points with his harder compound tires.
And I think that was, well, someone was running wide in the background, possibly it was Sandro Van Sand, I think, who ran across the runoff area. I think there was just a change. Was that Menno Klont and Matthias Zubinski changing places up ahead? I noticed something changed just outside of the top 10.
Klont is ahead. Yeah.
Klont is up into 12th position now. And sometimes you see little flickers on the timing screen as cars swap places, and you kind of have to remember exactly who was where in the order, so there was always a chance that was going to be wrong. But take a look at Ziobinski now, because he will be able to fight back with the DRS, and into the pits comes Menno Klont. So remember, we do have a mandatory pit stop in this race for every driver. They have to use 2 different compounds of slick tyre, and Klont will be going on to the yellow wall tyre, which is harder than the red wall tyres that they've been using.
Yeah, no question in Menno's mind. He wants the undercut to be powerful here. If he can find a gap in the track, then he'll certainly be able to push on. But of course, the slipstream, he'd be very grateful if he can get a slipstream at the right time. A bit of dust kicked up there by... that would be Hamming, of course. He's trying to catch up to Smith as best he can, certainly making a strong effort of it. The last lap time for Hamming a 1:30.2, Smith a 1:30.7. So yeah, Smith having to regroup after being overtaken by 3 cars in quick succession. His tires may be starting to fall off, so the Netrex team may have some advice for him that you may or may not want to listen to. But if he loses DRS at any stage on Quint, then yeah, pit stop may be a good idea, because you're just losing more and more time when these drivers are able to slipstream off one another.
Shimon Frelick into the pits now. So Frelick is in from 2nd place, as is Patrick Rojak from 5th. So it is time, well, from 3rd place he would have been if he'd gone through, from 4th place on the road. Robin Merling is into the pits from P10, and there'll be plenty more where that came from. I believe that the top driver who started on an alternate set of tyres is Massimiliano Raboli, unless I'm very much mistaken. Yes, there we go.
It was him, yeah.
On the yellow-walled Prime tyres, and has very much led that group of cars from the start of the race. And also into the pits are Lopez and Van Sand. But remember, everyone will come in. So right now, Taras is up into 3rd position, but he too will need to stop. Andrzejewski past Szymon Frelick, he will need to stop. And of course, Loic Mounier from the lead. And then you have the question of when's the right time to pit. The other drivers may have had an extra lap on fresh tyres compared to Loic Mounier. So, will he be able to hold his advantage?
Yeah, but in fairness, the Kings Racing team should know to prepare his tyres this lap or next. Oh no! The spinner, one of the VMS Sonedits, I think, has been involved there. Lesmo 2.
It's Van der Smissen, but worryingly, he was right with Szymon Frelick on the road, so hopefully he's not involved one of the prime runners in this race. I think Szymon's a couple of cars back, actually, so it wouldn't have been directly involving him. And Van der Smissen goes around on his own, and really good avoidance there. And who was that going around him? But anyway, Van der Smissen continues on in the race. VMS Sun Edits, yet again, not really having the best time out there. And the car who put on that pretty impressive avoiding action was potentially Patrick Royshak, maybe?
Lucchini overtook Szymon.
Okie dokie.
The opportunistic overtake there. And then, of course, the Royshak Volpino car.
Oh, so it was Szymon who went through the gravel. Yes, my apologies.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Well, good avoidance from Szymon, but that will lose him time and probably places too, because yes, he's now been jumped by Andrzejewski. And here he is, side by side with Andrzejewski to the outside of Del Rogia. He's fired up, but he runs across. He runs across the escape road, and he'll have to give that one back.
Yeah, he knows exactly the protocol there. He did not make the position on the racing surface, so he has to give it straight back. But he knows now in the second DRS, it's his last chance, realistically, to get this move done safely and put the Parallax Volpino drivers behind him as he can focus on his second stint. After pitting, of course. So Mounier still has control of the race, willing to stay out a little bit longer, but he must be really comfortable on these tyres, so he proves me wrong here. He's willing to keep going, whereas Mike Quint, Amari Watson, and perhaps Luke Mitchell as well will want to pit. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so into the pits is Mike Quint. Watson is also in, Mitchell is also in, so Mounier continues to lead. He now has, well, it says a 30-second gap. That's not representative, of course, because he still needs to make his pit stop. Mike Quint emerging just behind Oliver Taras. That's roughly where he was before the stop. Comes out just in front of Tom Satherley, side by side behind Harry Smith, who has, well, I think he lost out before the pit stages because, of course, he ran over the curb that one time. But he is in 10th position now. And we await Loic Mounier's pit stop to see where he will be as a result of that. But yeah, unfortunately, Szymon Frelick was badly caught up in all of that one, and Mounier should have an even bigger gap than would otherwise be expected.
Yeah, so of course, Quint has overcut Satterley for that crucial ability to take another kick against MS Performance, who are without Victor Ivanov this evening thus far, unless he's able to turn up a bit later on. Yeah, that was very calmly done by Quint to just use the pit strategy to overtake Satterley for his position. So it's a double blow there for MS Performance. So we'll see now if there's any way back in that fight. So Mounier, he's gone an incredible distance here, and he wants to perhaps use the hard tire to put in a flourish and win the race from perhaps the fastest lap. So now Phil Hausvik, who had his cameo there in second place, to the delight of our YouTube chat, he now pits, as does Mateusz Dabrowski. So they're going to take the pits. But now this is probably one of the biggest delta advantages you're ever likely to see in FS1. The race leader has gone the longest out of nearly everybody on the original set of soft tires. Absolutely remarkable. But Zabinski,
you very rarely see that, but yeah, he's extremely comfortable out there, isn't he?
Yeah, I was just going to say Zabinski has the new fastest lap, so if the information from Hyperion translates to the King's Racing car here, the number 29, then yeah, pitting now, or perhaps one more lap if that temptation is there. He knows the fastest lap could be within his grasp, knowing how quick the harder tyre now is.
So Mounier should still come out in the lead after this. It'll be closer than would be representative, because of course he'll have much fresher tyres than Frelick, so should be able to pull away. And into the pits he goes. 10 laps remaining, says the timing screen, and he'll go onto the prime tyres, the yellow-walled harder tyres. Puts the power down, out he goes. And I think maybe he was told by someone that Frelick had been caught up by an incident and knew that he had the gap to do what he just did. That's put him in an even better situation strategically. Look at the gap he has. You can visually see it. It'll be about 5 seconds when the momentum stops shifting, and then he'll just be able to extend that right to the end of the race is his plan. Loic Mounier has played this very well, and it should be his to lose now.
Precisely, and now I'm thinking Mounier, if he gets that fastest lap, he could be on for the Grand Chelem, which is the pole position, the lead every lap to victory and the pole position. So that would be a remarkable achievement to win a race one without dropping a single lap from the pole position. So yeah, it doesn't happen that often, but yeah, he's on course for it. If he can just get the fastest lap, he will sweep the board. And King's Racing have to double check their record, but yeah, it could be one of their first wins in quite a long time.
Absolutely, you very rarely see Grand Chelems here. You usually see someone staying out later than the leader, someone starting on the harder compound tyre and just running longer or something along those lines. But not today. Loic Mounier was able to keep his tyres fresh and run away with it at the front. He led by 34 seconds before the pit stop, and there's a yellow flag out there somewhere, so hopefully everyone's okay. We're still waiting for some drivers to pit, some drivers such as De Vries running in 10th position there. And what he would give for a red flag right now, VMS Sun Edits, of course, are at the very bottom of the team's championship. They've only scored points on one occasion, thanks to a 12th place position for Justin van der Smissen earlier this season, which put them ahead of 0-1 at the time, but they've dropped behind due to a couple of points finishes from 0-1 since then. There is Mike Quint, championship leader, running 6th, and we're going to see a replay of something, and this should be the yellow flag that we've just witnessed, because Sandro Van Sand has dropped from 10th position right back to 27th, and that is why, because he spun the car around and out of the race.
Yeah, he'll feel that one in the force feedback, unfortunately. Getting a heavy hit to the rear right suspension, and yeah, he'll have to dust himself down and try again in race 2. Yeah, that was a heavy one. So that leaves us with 26 drivers out of the 28 who started. Muscat pits, I think again. Maybe, yeah, he's pitting again. So he just wants to perhaps get on the mandatory set of tires just so he can be classified at the end. So yeah, Quint, if he can overtake Oliver Taras, who had been so patient in his chase against Harry Smith, then that'll be even better. And of course, if the number 5 were to turn up in, or number 6, I think, would be turning up in the reverse grid draw, then he'd benefit quite a lot. Would Quint, he'd be 5th anyway, but the minimum amount of swaps, for example, would take place. So he'd be doubly delighted with that, I'd say. Now David De Vries here has a shot at the top 10 against Robin Mulling. So Prix, I have to say, yeah, this is a great stint for him, going so long on this set of tyres. But if he pits by the next lap, then he could have an outside bet of a top 20, but it would be very difficult.
Well, he'll need to pit again. He hasn't yet made his pit stop, as Andrzejewski runs very wide there on the exit of Del Rogia. So you can see that De Vries is up 16 places, and usually when you see that, it's because something is up, and in this case, it's that he has run very, very long on those tyres, and gets his time in the sun, shall we say. Now, that graphic is not to be taken Well, that graphic is to be taken with a grain of salt because it's showing some drivers that have pitted as having not pitted, such as Patrick Rojak in 4th position, who we know has been through. But at least it did show you that David de Vries is out there on an old set of tyres. There's a Murray Watson fighting with Menno Klont. I think just making an overtake there. They were fighting for position and then continuing on his way. But yes, on that last lap, Loic Meunier set the fastest lap, so he is now on for a rare Grand Chelem here in Formula Sprint 1.
Absolutely, and be more history for Kings Racing because their last win overall was last season in FS2 Jeddah, when the brothers Scott Mitchell and Luke Mitchell came first and second in that race. So the best possible deputy in the number 29 here, Loic Meunier, could create an enormous slice of history for Kings Racing, getting their first win since they were promoted up the pyramid to FS1, and of course to do it in the best possible style in the wonderful forests around Monza. That would be an enormous achievement that will certainly go down in the history books.
Indeed it would. Here he goes into the Variante Ascari, one of the toughest corners on the calendar in my personal opinion. The car gets very light through that, especially if you set it up to have a pretty small rear wing, which a lot of these drivers would have done. All of the cars are absolutely identical. The only thing separating them is the setup, so that very much encourages you to do something extreme in order to stand out from the opposition. And across the line he goes. Yet another quick one from Meunier, extends his lead to 6 seconds now, 6.4 seconds as it is. And he's actually started lapping some people as well, some people who were involved in incidents earlier on. This is the main fight in the pointy end of the field. It's between Frelick and the two Parallax Volpino racing cars who are on his tail. Andrzejewski, the closer of the two right now.
Yeah, I suppose it has been a difficult year in some respects for Parallax Volpino. I know 8th place. A lot of teams would love to be in that position in the championship, but I know last year, under their previous branding, they were capable of race victories and so on and so forth. This year hasn't been the case, but to get a podium for the first time in 2024, that would mean an enormous amount to the team. Patrick Rojak was the closest back in Saudi Arabia as well, with a 4th position. There have been there was another 4th place for Rojak as well, but the first one that would be recorded would be the 4th place in Jeddah. So they've been knocking on the door with top 5s and top 10s, but to get a 3 and 4 clear of the championship contenders, they'll be absolutely thrilled with that. And of course, Andrzejewski, he's not going to give up. He may want to go all out and go for the runner-up position here, Caitlin, with 5 to go.
5 laps remaining. You see the board showing on the top left-hand side of your screen. The gap for the lead is pretty immaterial right now, 6.5 seconds, not anything to write home about. And behind him, Szymon Frelick has Paweł Andrzejewski in close proximity. Another brief yellow flag. Hopefully everyone out there is okay. It's been a relatively clean race so far, with 26 cars remaining. I think this replay is about to make me look a little bit of a fool. Justin van der Smissen into the second Lesmo, massive twitch, bang into the barriers, and he too is out of the race now. And is that both of the VMS Sun Edits cars out of the race, or am I
incorrect? De Vries.
No, sorry, De Vries is still going. So 25 cars remain in this race now, with the latest retirement being the unfortunate Justin van der Smissen.
Yeah, so the teams that you could probably abbreviate into 3 letters in some respects have lost 1 car. So KKR, H2O, I suppose, or H2O.
H2O, okay.
Yeah, you could put them that way. I suppose they do spell it TO instead of TWO. But I suppose some people may want to go for that abbreviation. And then in VMS with Sun Edits have lost a driver as well. So that's a pity. But yeah, very good finishing rate here in this first run around Monza. Now, Mike Quint, this is a glorious opportunity for him. He's down to 4/10 of a second behind Taras for the 5th position, with Sathaly just keeping his binoculars out to observe every little move the Dutchman may make here in his battle to just get further and further clear in our championship. He's got the benefit over Hamming, he's got it over Watson, and the absence of Ivanov. So it's just going perfectly so far for Quint.
Yeah, a little bit of a twitch from Taras. The less lateral movement, the better. Here comes Mike Quint up the inside. Does go through to 5th. Does he make the corner? Yes! And manages to make the exit as well. So unlike we saw earlier in the race, with Frelich having to, I think it was Frelich having to cut the corner while fighting with Andrzejewski, this time Mike Quint was able to make the move stick, and the championship leader is back into the top 5, extending his championship lead. Tom Sathaly here, in the spray-painted MS Performance car by the look of it, is chasing down Oliver Taras, who is struggling more than the 2 cars he's fighting with at this point in the race. You see the slight understeer there, big through the gravel. You see the understeer caused by the turbulent air of the car in front. Sathaly will have to get back in his rhythm now and try again.
Yeah, at least it was reasonably predictable that he was able to adjust when he saw the car understeer, and he could lift off on the gravel before he could get back on the power. So, yeah, good observational driving there from Sathaly to make sure he didn't leave the understeer too long and potentially cause a crash. He backed out when safe to do so, and he stays in the battle. Frank Hamming, another fantastic drive for him. I know his qualification let him down, but yeah, he is just a wonderful driver in the race conditions, and he has himself another shot at a haul of points. 8 points to be within the grasp for him for P8. So if he can beat Smith, it'll be better for HGP's point of view, just to try and claw back some extra points on MS Performance, knowing that, of course, they're down 1 driver. So yeah, at the moment, MS Performance will clear HGP a little bit more, but yeah, reverse grid, Hamming will hope to have an advantage over Sathaly. But if you can get this overtake done here, Caitlin, that'll be another bonus.
Under the bridge, through the Ascari chicane, Frank Hamming, HGP, a team that never seems to change its livery or its drivers particularly much, but that kind of stability is what you sometimes need to create a successful sim racing team. Frank Hamming has been there or thereabouts for a good few years now, out of the Curva Alboreto, or the Parabolica as it's known, and there's a penalty showing up for Mateusz Dabrowski, who's outside of the points anyway, but possibly for track limits. We are getting later on in the race. Frank Hamming now up the inside. That's a relatively late move, but it's going to be fair. There's no contact just yet. On the exit of the corner, he's kept his nose in. Hopefully Harry Smith knows that he's there. It's Smith who's in 8th position. The lighter car on the driver's left. Still side by side up through Curva Grande. Sparks flying as they nearly rub wheels, and Smith will get the run, and he does maintain 8th position through the Variante del Roggia and into the Lesmoods.
Yeah, and a lap ago, lap 24, Loic Munier got the fastest lap, so he is on course for the Grand Chelem, sweeping every possible metric, heading towards the end of the race. He just needs to lead the final lap and meet the checkered flag to secure one of the most dominant victories I've ever seen in GPVWC. Riboli wants to try and survive. He made a mistake there into Lesmo 1 in his chase for 1 point. Junio Lopez making it a very special occasion here for Kings Racing. The final lap begins for the race leader, but Lopez also stepping in for the team has 1 point for 15th. But he's got to push as hard as he can now. He's got a personal best sector 2, Caitlin, and if he can clear DRS, then Kings Racing could be on for one of their finest ever evenings in their history. Yeah,
I think that mistake might be the last chance that Riboli had. down the drain now, but I am speaking too soon. They have a lap to go. The final lap has been started now by Loic Mounier and subsequently by both of the Kings Racing cars. Here is Loic Mounier. He's got 8 seconds to play with on this last lap. He can effectively cruise the car home now to what will be a royal victory for the Kings Racing driver. And a Grand Chelem, almost definitely, unless someone puts down a blinder of a lap this last time around. And I would say, let's get this man a full-time drive in GPWC Super League, because he is absolutely good enough for it.
Unquestionably, yeah, this is absolutely remarkable stuff. Just the Parabolica remains, and Kings Racing can get absolutely over the moon with a victory since their promotion to FS1. Here it comes. Loic Mounier gets Kings Racing on top with an amazing Grand Chelem start for pillar to post. He can weave in delight now. He's got the job done, everything he needed. Fastest lap, pole position, the victory, and led every single lap. Brilliant, brilliant stuff, Caitlin.
Szymon Frelick comes through in 2nd position, and then it's a great race for Parallax Volpino, who will be 3rd and 4th with Andrzejewski and Rojak. Mike Quint is 5th position, extending his championship lead. It's looking rather unassailable now, considering Ivanov is not here. We have Oliver Taras in 6th position, Tom Saverly P7, Harry Smith P8, Frank Hamming P9 and Robin Merling P10. Remember, 6th to 10th position all have a chance of scoring or finishing on the reverse grid pole. So any of those drivers are about to or are potentially about to be very excited indeed. And of course, Oliver Taras is in the best position of those because he will definitely benefit from the reverse grid, no matter which random number is drawn. There is the sheet which shows you the top 10 finishers, and we'll see the rest of the point scorers after this. But you have to say that Loic Mounier drove absolutely perfectly in that one. Szymon Frelick could do nothing about him, and Andrzejewski and Rojak put up a good fight as well, weren't quite able to overcome Szymon Frelick. Actually, a pretty good drive from Frelick as well, considering we saw him in the gravel trap at one point, and a big spin, but it doesn't matter because the race is over.
Yeah, Hyperion, they'll just be satisfied to the job in this extraordinary race 1 here around Monza. So there we go, the top 10 is complete. So Team Rookie Monster having a great run of form as well, with Robin Merling this time getting the P10, and 11th through 20th coming up now. So Murray Watson, another driver who gained positions the hard way. Yeah, there's Zabinski in 12th, so yeah, he can be pleased just to secure a little bit more points. Menno Clont there 13th, ahead of Luke Mitchell in 14th. I'm sure he'll be texting his brother, telling him what's just happened. Junio Lopez, excellent cameo job here in the 89 car. He gets 15th position and 1 point. Massimiliano Raboli, unfortunate to miss out there. He'll try again in race 2. Daniel Scott, Mirko Lucchini, Owen Vilhausvik and Philip Koenig complete our top 20. 3 more drivers made it on the lead lap. That was De Vries, Russo and Tylene. Jason Muscat made it to the checkered flag a lap down. Sadly, some big crashes that took Dabrowski, Van der Smissen, Van Sand and Knox out of proceedings. In Knox's case, he would have been on for points, Caitlin, but he had to avoid the spinning Lucchini.
Yeah, could have been on for a reverse grid pole, but of course we won't know. And now we wait to see the reverse grid number that will be drawn. I've just been contacted by Harry Smith, actually, driver from NetRec, who we might end up speaking to later, who said that he is also the team boss for MS Performance and therefore Viktor Ivanov's team boss. He says Ivanov is stuck at work, he believes. He just told me he might be home before 8, but I guess not. Didn't want to fill the seat in case he made it. So there's always that. Real life can get in the way. Bit of a shame there. And of course, there's no telling what Viktor Ivanov could have done in this race. But anyway, we wait for race 2. We'll be back in just a few minutes' time. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this partially reversed grid shakes things up.
Welcome back, everybody. Race 2 around Monza in Formula Sprint 1 is just a few moments away. Eoin Harmon and my substitute for this evening, Caitlin Penny, have really enjoyed what we saw in race 1, and the reverse grid draw has given Harry Smith the opportunity to try and get his very first win of the season, Caitlin.
Yeah, and personally, I'm very excited by that. I was very impressed by his defensive driving in race 1, especially when he was fighting with the likes of Tom Satherley. So I personally think that he stands a very good chance of scoring a good result here, possibly even a win, although he does have some very strong drivers behind him. I've just noticed that his teammate, who should be, let me just double check so I'm not messing this up, but it should be Amari Watson, of course, is now in the server as your name, as in just Y name at the bottom of the timing screen. So clearly he's left and then rejoined and something's gone a bit awry. Hopefully we can get this all sorted before the race starts, because that is a little bit confusing. We noticed in the YouTube chat that Victor Ivanov has got home from work. I don't think he's managed to get on his sim in time to start race 2. A little bit of a shame. I think that would have at least been damage limitation, but would have been very difficult to score points anyway. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to seeing Harry Smith going from pole. I'm looking forward to seeing Mounier going from 8th as well, seeing what he could do. I noticed Aviation in the YouTube chat saying there's no way Loic doesn't win race 2 as well. And, anything's possible here. We've seen double winners in the past in FS1. It is going to be tricky, but it's entirely possible. I mean, Frelick did a double win at Austria, so yeah, entirely possible.
Yeah, the opportunity to sweep yet again. Not impossible for Loic, but I believe he will be just content to push on. And King's Racing even more points. They had the double there, the sandwich, I believe it was called in our YouTube chat, of P1 and P15, thanks to Junio Lopez backing up the team there. So yeah, excitement building for King's Racing, and history is certainly beckoning if they can win again. But yeah, Smith, Satterley, Taras and Quint are the top 4. All those drivers have different priorities, and they all want to make their opportunity in the reverse grid count.
Indeed, they do. Plenty of opportunities for drivers who finished in the lower half of the top 10. Unfortunately, missing out were the likes of Frank Hamming and Robin Merling. That's always a horrible feeling, I know it well. If you're in contention for a reverse grid pole position and you don't get chosen. And unfortunately, they will be starting from 9th and 10th positions. I'm just taking a look to see if... No, Amari Watson is still on the server as your name. So I guess we're just going to have to keep an eye on that over the course of the race and just remember that that is Amari Watson. And it looks as if he's starting from the pits as well, so not all is well there for the second Networks car.
Yeah, very peculiar, I have to say. I'm not versed in anything like this happening, but yeah, we are satisfied. Your judgment is correct, Caitlin. So Amari Watson down the order without his correct name, but I'm sure the human adjudication can sort that out. Anyway, to our formation lap, Harry Smith has reverse grid Paul, followed by Tom Statterley, Oliver Taras and Mike Quint. We have the Parallax Volpinos together again, Roshak and Andriuski. Shimon Frelick and Loic Mounier will go side by side again from the 4th row, with Frank Hamming and Robin Mulling 9th and 10th. There is Amari Watson in 11th, but he'll be in pit lane. So Zubinski will be promoted a place. And then Menno Klont, I suppose we'll count 12 to 27 at this stage. So Klont, Luke Mitchell, Junio Lopez and Massimiliano Raboli have points paying positions as of right now. Then we've Scott, Ruccini, Phil Hausvik and Koenig. They are 16th through 19th. David De Vries, I beg your pardon, completes the top 20, with Federico Russo hoping to try and get Alpha Delta running again from P22. Lucas Tylene, another driver who may feel a bit hard done by in race 1, alongside Jason Muscat. Then we've Dabrowski, Van der Smissen, Sandro Van Sand, and then last but not least, James Knox, also a driver with a point to prove. He was very, very strong in race 1, Caitlin, but his ability to dodge an almost impossible incident resulted in him retiring. So yeah, I really hope to see James Knox pushing on again here in race 2.
Indeed, race 2s tend to be a little more chaotic than race 1, so still a chance for points. Although obviously the race will be shorter, just 18 laps as opposed to the 26 that we saw in race 1. These drivers starting on soft tyres, but we saw the soft tyres going extremely long on Loic Mounier's car in the last race and on some of the other drivers as well. So it is entirely possible to do this whole race on just one set of tyres. And I presume that that is what these drivers are intending to do, especially Loic Mounier, who's already proven that he can do it. Onto the grid they go. Leave your predictions in the YouTube chat if you'd like. Aviation is clearly cheering on Oliver Tarras, and we've got some mentions as well for the likes of Tom Satherley. Ed Hunter says that his prediction is Tom Satherley. I'm personally looking for Smith and Satherley from the front row. Now let's watch for the lights, and once again I will hand back over to you, Eoin.
Thanks, Caitlin. I hope Harry Smith is correctly in his grid slot there, but we're away. The race direction are happy to let this one go, and a big start for Mike Quint. He's got to pull all the way around around to the grass to overtake Satterley again. They'll be 3 wide, watching out for the Parallax Volpino teammates. They make a bit of contact, and that is it's a Lunar.
It's Tarras.
It's Tarras, of course, yes.
Oliver Tarras made a big dive in that first corner. He took the lead and then immediately spun off the road, possibly just went a little bit too deep. So we've already lost the technical early race leader. Now it's Smith in the lead, followed by Satherley, and then one of the Parallax Volpino cars. Oh, and the other one's getting tangled up there with Mounier. So Quint is in 4th position, and Mounier survives it. He's side by side further back in the order, and Frelick's lost a place. Frelick down to 8th, sorry.
Yeah, he's right behind Mounier here. The head-to-head returns for these two who started on the front row after qualifying. They're going to try and compete again, but Harry Smith, they'll be relieved. It was just Tarras losing control by himself. I know they were battling hard in race 1 similarly. So a relief for Harry Smith, his chance to win for the very first time in GPVWC after so many consistent top 3s and top 5s. This is his moment if he can hang on. But of course, Tom Satterley will feel similarly. He wants to get a success for MS Performance after we saw them absolutely impeccably perform back in Spa-Francorchamps. So there we go, lead lap done for Harry Smith off the pole. And Satterley just half a second behind thereabouts, maybe down to 4/10. So Roszak wants to make sure he can back up his teammate Andrzejewski again. And he's got to take down the championship leader if he wants to do it, and that's no mean feat.
So Smith leads from Satherley and Andrzejewski. Here's race 1 winner Loic Mounier trying to find a way around Robin Merling, who defends well. Just uses up all of the road, forces Mounier to go the long way round into Del Roggia, which he does. Oh, well, he's on the curb, and Merling's going to come back at him. He goes up the inside. Frelick taking a look as well, trying to gain advantage. Merling's going to go back through, and Mounier tried to fight on the outside, but not enough grip out there. So Smith leads from Satherley and Andrzejewski. We've had 2 retirements, unfortunately, with those being... well, we'll see in a second. Van der Smissen's in the pit, so he was involved in some sort of palaver, as is David de Vries. So both the VMS Sun Edits cars involved. Mateusz Zibinski's in the pits and out of the race. Luke Mitchell is out of the race. So a little bit more carnage on the first lap than there was in race 1. Oliver Tarras is down to 21st place after his spin. Amari Watson up to 23rd, having started from the pit lane. What drama here at the start. And now we look to the pit straight again as there's more slipstreaming action to come with Frelick on the back of Mounier.
Absolutely, yeah, getting the weaving techniques out here. There we go, the VMS Sun Edits exiting pit lane. Nice and calmly to make sure the quicker cars can pass. And Frelick down the inside, can he make the overtake? That was well out of everyone's reach in race 1. No, unfortunately not, he's denied. But he'll get his second chance with Frank Hamming behind him, of course, to provide a an awkward distraction. But no doubt about it, the HGP team are willing their main man on to see if he can get more points. But he has to stay in single file for just a moment. But yeah, the likelihood is this is a race purely of performance on the track. There won't be much tactical battles, as I believe these tyres can definitely make it to the end.
You say that, but look at the difference in starting tyres here. Smith and Savily are both on the primes. The top driver on the options, the soft tyres, is Pavel Andrzejewski in 3rd position, and he would have been hoping to make up places in the very first lap. And unfortunately for him, that means that not only does he not have track position, but his tyres will go off a bit quicker towards the end of the race as well. This is looking very good for Smith and Savily, as I suggested it might at the start. Mike Quint also on those hard tyres, as is Menno Klont. They're in 10th place, and some people sprinkled up and down the field. Both of the VMS Sunovitz cars did rejoin the race. Muscat's fighting with Taras over 20th position. Of course, both out of the points due to various issues. And look, that was Andrzejewski going for 2nd, as we see a replay of something. This is the start of the race. Watch as Taras absolutely dive bombs his way into turn 1, just leaves his braking too late, spins it out, trying to keep it from, oh goodness, reverses out of the way of the pack. He knows there's going to be more cars coming his way, and will drop right down the field as a result of that one. Very unfortunate from Taras, but all by his own doing. And here's Luke Mitchell, who was also involved in a little bit of palaver on that first lap, along with potentially the 2 VMS Sunovitz cars. Bang into the barriers he goes, and that's Ziabinski, the other car he went off with.
Then that caused damage. One of the VMS Sunovitz, unfortunately. So yeah, absolute nightmare for Lunark. Thinking they had a chance at a lot of points, but unfortunately Taras lost his rear traction. Thankfully, of course, he did an amazing job to bring the car to a halt before he rejoined the racing line, so he was able to keep the other drivers safe. Now here's Junio Lopez, currently in 10th place, and he's going to battle Menno Klont here, the winner of perhaps the most famous race 2 of 2024. They'll go side by side into Parabolica briefly, but now Junio has to back out. Maybe he's caused a bit of unsettling towards Menno's car, and now Riboli on the high line has a chance to gain double slipstream and overtake the Kings Racing driver for P10.
Savily takes the lead. Sorry, Tom Savily has taken the lead, and there's a yellow flag out there somewhere, and we didn't see exactly what happened, but there has been a change up front. Savily leads, Smith is 2nd, Rojak has passed Quint as well, so Rojak is up to 4th place.
Excellent call, Caitlin, and it's Satelli's chance now to lead from the front and help his team. As a result of Ivanov's work commitments, he wasn't able to perform today, but this will be amazing for Sateli. He's been in and out of the championship so far this season. He has been so unlucky. I know in Austria that was where it was exceptionally cruel on him, a double DNF. Both incidents were totally out of his control.
Yeah.
But to a victory here, I know he's been having to watch a lot of substitute drivers take the glory as well. If he can get himself his first ever victory in GPVWC, that will be so emotional for him, and I'll be really excited to hear how he feels about it if he can hold on. But still a long way to go, Caitlin. We're about a third of the way towards the checkered flag.
And Robin Merling's in the pits, one of the drivers who started in the top 10. I noticed he dropped down the order. I don't think we saw exactly how that happened, but unfortunately Robin Merling has obviously been involved in something, so he will drop down the order and rejoins the race. We're going to see a replay now, and is this Merling? It is, and this is him fighting with Junio Lopez. Lopez to the inside, wheel-to-wheel contact, round he goes, and that is the reason that Merling dropped down the field. Doesn't quite... Oh, well, that explains the pit stop, doesn't it? He reversed into the barrier, trying to rejoin the race. Well, that's an embarrassing one.
Yeah, I feel his pain there. So easy to do. He's probably more concerned about just getting going again, but he felt perhaps the gravel trap where he was situated. Yeah, he had to probably just be a bit more mindful of his mirrors, and he just reversed too long, hitting the retaining wall behind him. Here's Daniel Scott for Team Rookie Monsters.
Someone's off in the background. Someone went off. Well, I wasn't.
Sandro, is it Amari Watson?
I think Watson was involved. Yeah, he definitely lost a place or two in that. I've also noticed both the VMS Sun Edits cars came into the pits again, so possibly just bolting on another set of tyres, having some fun out there. But yes, here's a replay of what just happened. I think it's what just happened. We're looking at Philip Koenig in the Grafoni Esports car. There's Watson coming up the inside. They're side by side with Taras. They're going to lock wheels. Taras was not involved in that. That was entirely Koenig versus Watson. And Koenig rejoins the race. So luckily, I don't think we're going to see any trips to the pits as a result of that, but some more lost time.
Right, yeah. Now the top 5 all within 2 seconds of each other, with Munier just watching on in 6th place. Quince! Oh, you don't need to gamble just yet, my friend. Thankfully, he caught it though. Maybe just a loss of concentration for just a split second there. But he regained the traction just in the nick of time and will stay in 5th position behind Patrick Roszak. Yeah, he was thinking about an inside move. He was too far back, but remarkably, he kept himself safe. He kept his opponent safe in front of him. And indeed, Munier behind was able to react and not cause an accident as well.
Yeah, well, continues on in the race. I thought for a minute he was going around. And I'm not sure he was intending to go for a move there. I think he just outbraked himself and then locked up his wheels to avoid the back of Patrick Roszak's car. Roszak breathes a sigh of relief. He saw the car approaching in his mirrors. Could have been a pretty nasty one. And they stay 4th and 5th in the race, just ahead of race 1 winner Loic Mounier. Down the straight they go under the IMB racewear banner. Lucas Dylan, the biggest gainer in the points so far, up 10 places. James Knox up 12 from his starting place, because of course he started right from the back. The biggest losers, as always, the drivers who've retired from this race. And Robin Merling's in the pits again. Not in the points, quite the opposite, I'm afraid to say. Here is Loic Mounier with DRS on the back of Quint, who also has DRS. That will help him to defend, but it might not matter because Mounier is able to go to the outside. That turns into the inside, and that's a textbook chicane-style overtake from Loic Mounier, who's back into the top 5.
Yeah, exactly. Really, really smooth move there to make that work around the outside into the first part of the chicane and then the inside for turn 2. But Lopez, again, really coming of age here in this race. Portuguese so close to making a bit harder for Multiforce GP, with Menno Clont holding on to 9th place using his experience for now. But yeah, if this King's Racing team have found the prime setup for both cars, then they will get a huge bounty of points.
There's Junior Lopez, King's Racing, 2 cars in the top 10, as you said. They did rather sandwich the points in race 1, as I think it was Aviation was commenting in the YouTube chat. It reminds me of the jokes people used to make when I had a bit of a catchphrase. I used to say it's a complete sandwich whenever cars were going 3 wide into a corner, and people picked up on that. Bit of a yellow flag out there somewhere. Hopefully someone hasn't been too sandwiched. Oh, it's Van Sand, ironically, who is out of the race. And a move, well, a defensive move. Roszak goes right over to the right-hand side of the track to defend from Mounier. Very twitchy into the braking zone. The Parallax Volpino cars going this way and that. But yes, I'm afraid we've lost Van Sand, so we'll have 25 cars remaining in this race now.
Yeah, the attrition rate starting to climb up a little bit. But of course, this is still a wide open race with these 6 to 7 drivers perhaps capable of pulling in for victory. Of course, Hamming, if you can get a little bit closer there, you can see with a luminous green helmet, just trying to catch up again to Freilich. So yeah, it's definitely game on for him. Just a little bit more pace and he'll be there in the queue. Satterley can hang on to this 6/10 of a second lead as best he can, heading towards the second half of this sprint race. He'll be on for the result he's craved all season long. So yeah, it's pressure time for him if he can just keep this going. A lot of drivers have to be careful, of course, into the rundown towards Parbolka out of Ascari. Yeah, the driver in the background as well. Oh, I can see a wiggle there for Riboli, I think that was. thankfully he caught it in time. So yeah, again, it's up to one driver in this gaggle to make a move, and then there'll be the concertina effect. As of right now, they're just forming an orderly queue. So it's up to one driver when the time is right to have a go. As we saw with Munier, he made his pass on championship leader Quint, and he's getting tight to Rojak.
So Munier all over the back of Patrick Rojak, and a change of places. Looks like Junior Lopez is ahead of Menno Klont, so up into 9th position there in the other Kings Racing car. And there they are, fighting out of that corner. Mirko Lucchini on their tail. Lost a bit of time in race 1 as a result of that spin that he had, but improving on his starting position. Klont back to the inside, backs out. Lopez continues on in 9th position. Menno Klont, one of the most involved people in the GPVWC community, often works with the GPVWC Academy team, which he runs. He finds people who want to have a go in a Formula Sprint 2 race situation. I myself have benefited from that a couple of times, scoring a few points for his team here and there, and has been part of GPVWC for at least 10 years now. And on top of all of that, a pretty strong racer as well. It takes a lot of ability to run this well in a Formula Sprint 1 race. It's an extremely competitive championship, and if you don't believe me, then give it a go. And he's still fighting with Junior Lopez and Mirko Lucchini. As up in front, Loic Mounier is all over the back of Patrick Rojak, goes to the outside, and is he going to pull the same move on Rojak that he did on Quint just a couple of laps ago? He tries it, I think he's going to pull it off, but they're still going to be side by side up through Curva Grande here.
Yeah, it's going to be side by side a little bit longer, so Mounier can only pull in about now to defend. That just gives Rojak a little dose of slipstream to get just in behind again, watching out behind, of course, for Quint. He really wants to make this pass to get a double top 5 performance out of this free hit, I suppose you could call it, with Ivanov, unfortunately needing to have his dinner. So we'll hope he returns as soon as possible for Baku, ideally. So Freilich trying again on Quint to see if he can make a pass. Yeah, he still has to stay behind though. It's a little bit too much to ask from that range. And Hamming again just waiting for his own chance to make a pass, because so far he's just been stuck in P8.
Indeed. So that means that... Oh, and I've just seen Lucchini's pass Klont as well. So for 10th position, that has changed. And of course, Mounier made that overtake stick. I love the way that he thinks outside of the box in those overtakes going towards turn 1. Usually you have people going to the inside, because that's the... Well, here we go. We're going to see which way Andrzejewski goes on the back of Smith. He does go to the inside, and I think he might just pull it off here, actually. He's got close enough. He's got far enough ahead, but they rub wheels. And there you see what I'm about to say, with Smith maintaining the place on the inside. But Andrzejewski's done a good job too here. Oh, they touch through Curva Grande. They rub wheels. And now we go up to Del Roger. Look at Mounier getting involved. We might go nearly 3 wide into the corner. Mounier thinks better of it. Andrzejewski goes through the gravel. He's from wide. He might have to give that one up. Mounier goes to the inside too. He won't let this... Oh. And Andrzejewski backs out of it. Let's Harry Smith back through, and that boxes Mounier in. I don't think he was expecting that one. Ooh, close one.
Very close, but this is the best outcome for Satterley. He's now a second... Nearly 2 seconds clear, so he can just push on and control his own race. But Mounier in P4 with that first victory in FS1 history for himself. He has a chance to double up with a podium in the Kings Racing car. And of course, this top 3 for sure don't have experience with the top step of the podium in FS1. I'd have to double check for Rojak as well. He might be similar, so very fresh challengers for honours in this Monza meet this Thursday the 5th of September. So let's see now what Mounier can do if he wants to have an absolutely comprehensive evening. He'll need to get through 3 of these cars to get the double. He'll be on the inside again, but Pavel has reacted accordingly.
And Smith ran wide as well. Smith ran wide, went across the escape road, and he's going to lose out momentum-wise as they head up to Del Roger. Simon Frelick going very defensive for Mike Quint, who ducks to the other side now in the hopes he can get far enough ahead in the braking zone. He's not, so Simon Frelick holds that one. That's the sort of chicane where you have to get not just alongside your opponents, but slightly ahead going into the corner. So, Savalli continues to lead. He extends his lead to 1.7 seconds with all of the battling that's going on behind him. Smith, Andrzejewski, Mounier and Rojak have been almost in the wars here. Look at Mounier going side by side with Andrzejewski for third position. They both have DRS. Andrzejewski will have a little bit more slipstream from Smith up ahead and uses it to stay ahead of Loic Mounier as they stand. Mounier surely is hungry for a double podium finish today, and has to get through Andrzejewski before he can achieve that. And Andrzejewski too will not have given up just yet on getting that second place away from Harry Smith. The thing that's worrying me is that none of these drivers seem to even acknowledge the fact that the other drivers are even there. They're running through the grass trying to overtake each other, just not giving each other an inch. And I'm loving the absolute commitment that we're seeing from some of the more confident drivers in this fight. Simon Frelick all over the back of Rojak. Look how close he gets into the braking zone. How are they not touching there as they all slam on the anchors?
Yeah, great mystery, but fair play. So Frelick ahead of Quint now. So Quint falling down to 7th. Not too long ago, which means it is certainly a great Polish representation here. So many Polish fans, of course, here in GPVWC, and they'll be cheering on their representatives to see if they can get even more glory. But it's sadly for New Zealand in the lead, nearly 2 seconds ahead. He's maintaining that gap over Harry Smith of England, so we'll see if anything else could happen. But yeah, these drivers are just taking time out of each other. It means that now that Smith has a bit of a gap over Pavel, he can definitely start to try and find a way through the interval and get DRS back.
I'm afraid Robin Merling has finally called it a day. We saw him in the wars earlier on, reversing into the barrier while trying to recover from a spin, and unfortunately he has decided that that is enough. The VMS Sunedit's cars have continued though, having their own little fight off the lead lap. Anyway, we have 4 laps to go, including the one that has just been started, and still the fight continues all the way up and down the top 10. Simon Frelick to the outside of Patrick Rojak. Now they touch in the braking zone. Frelick's going to miss the corner. Well, he makes the corner. I don't know quite how, but they almost scattered through the grass there. Patrick Rojak maintains 5th position. Simon Frelick says, right, now it gets real. And Mike Quint is all over the back of him as well, possibly about to gain advantage, but he'll be too far back into Del Roger. Close one. Oh, and sorry, off the road. Rojak missed the corner. And I think Simon Frelick, well, he wasn't quite able to go for a move. You saw Mounier trying to unsettle Andrzejewski into the braking zone there, but I'm pretty sure Rojak missed the chicane.
Yeah, I can just see on my YouTube replay, yeah, he certainly took a cut to stay competitive. So yeah, there may be a call from race control to say that was a corner cut and you may have to give up the position, but as of right now, he feels I can carry on.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be caused to give up a place for that, because he wasn't side by side with someone and he didn't stay ahead of someone as a result of that. But what it will do is it will up the incident points that he will have accumulated over the race. That's why we saw a driver getting a penalty towards the end of race 1. They must have accumulated too many track cut points. Now look at Simon Frelick on the back of Patrick Rojak again. And to his left, this is where they made contact a lap ago. This time Rojak's going to give him a bit more room into the braking zone. And Quint is right there as well, as is Frank Hamming getting involved now. The top 8 still right together. But and Frelick's, oh, look how close he is heading through Curva Grande. You can see Rojak just opening up the steering to keep it as tight as possible to the left-hand side. And Frelick through the grass, and there's a little bit of contact. And there's more contact again on the exit. Frelick makes the move. He weaves his disapproval. Quint's going to come through on the inside as well. Backs out of it to avoid a collision. But we've just seen 2 collisions in the chicane. What do you make of that, Eoin?
Yeah, to be fair to Frelick, he was on the white line. He'd nowhere else to go. So the defense from Roshak was perhaps a bit too aggressive there. And yeah, I think fate has smiled upon Frelick there. He gets the position. And in my estimation, that is perfectly competitive from Frelick. There was no misdeed. So Roshak will have to accept that was a fair overtake, and we'll have to try and counter before we run out of laps.
And Frelick will be thinking about time too. Goodness me. You could see in the body language of his car that he was upset about that. You can really tell how a driver's feeling by what they do immediately after an overtake or immediately after a bit of contact. Here's Mounier, 4th position, going for a podium. Andrzejewski up ahead, going for second, goes for second, dives to the inside. Harry Smith is who he's fighting. A bit of a weave. There's a touch from behind for Mounier. Mounier is going to get alongside him on the exit. This is for 3rd position now, so Andrzejewski went for one move, might well lose another place, but it's not quite able to work out. It might have been best for Mounier to back off and let that one happen, because if they'd swapped places, he might have got through on the exit. He goes to the inside. He touches. They all touch. And off the road goes Andrzejewski. Smith is slow on the exit. Andrzejewski maintains 2nd place. He'll have to back off and give them. And there they go. So Smith goes through to 2nd. Mounier is 3rd. Andrzejewski goes wide on the exit as well. He might end up being vulnerable to Frelick. This is frenetic stuff towards the end of the race on the penultimate lap.
It's extraordinary. Really, these drivers want to maximize everything they've got. And they really, really are throwing all of their weight behind their attacks and their defenses. And yeah, Satterley is pulled well clear now in the lead, so he just needs to compose himself for one more lap. He'll be there, but now the objective for Harry Smith is to somehow stop the dominant Mounier from getting 1st place with the Grand Chelem behind him. And now in race 2, he's so close to the 2nd position to back that up. It's going to be a 1v1 fight here, Caitlin, as they cross the line to begin the final lap. So Mounier has to pick a side, and Harry Smith has to defend. He knows what tricks are available.
Here we go.
Mounier, go ahead.
Mounier to the inside, and he goes through to 2nd. They're together on the apex. They give each other just enough space. They rub wheels slightly. Mounier goes through. Great move. I'm afraid to say Patrick Roshak is in the pits. I didn't see what happened to him. He was in the top 8, but he drops back, so that puts Lucchini up into P8. Smith coming back at Mounier now. They're 3 seconds behind the leader. Satterley should win this race. Mounier maintains it. Now, a lap ago, it looked as if Mounier ran into the back of Smith, causing a bit of a chain reaction, which is what caused Andrzejewski to run off the road. There might be a look into that after the race, but for the time being, Mounier is through into 2nd position after an absolutely frenetic bit of racing. But yes, absolute mystery as to why Roshak came through the pits. That, surely if his tyres were going off, he'd just keep it on the road. That's so close with Frelick there versus Andrzejewski for 4th place. And it's not going to change down into there. They will have another opportunity down into the Parabolica Alboreto. Someone kicking up the gravel as they exit the... goodness, it's still on for 2nd here between Smith and Mounier. Smith is to the outside here, and he's going to take it, is he? He brakes later. They're side by side in the final corner. They rub wheels, and I think Mounier is going to get 2nd. And I'll let you call Satterley across the line because he's about to win, and he has won.
He has won, Caitlin. Brilliant driving from these contenders today, I have to admit. And go ahead, did you see something?
Well, I saw the gap across the line. It was a 1/10 of a second between Mounier and Smith for 2nd position. Amazing stuff there towards the end. Mounier gets 2nd, Smith is 3rd, then it's Andrzejewski, Frelick, Quint, Hamming, Lucchini, Lopez and Klont, the top 10. What a race.
Yeah, we've been spoiled here in the return of FS1 action after the summer break. And these drivers, they could have reacted one of 2 ways. They could have, they could have been a bit sloppy, perhaps feeling Monza is a track that just rewards straight line speed and basic overtakes. But now we've seen so much class, we've seen so much excitement. And in both races, we've seen brand new winners in the FS1 category. So congratulations to Tom Satterley, yet another driver behind the wheel of an MS Performance car getting a victory, but this one will mean a whole lot to him because he's been waiting and waiting for a fair opportunity to compete at the very top, and his destiny has finally been kind, so he takes a well-deserved victory, beating out Loic Mounier and Harry Smith, who went head-to-head at the line. Smith will be disappointed not to have converted the pole position and make his own success in the category for the very first time. So hard luck to him, but solid points nevertheless. Pavel Andrzejewski, another driver that has been on the periphery, but a P4 is again a positive showing for Paradox Alpino after they were really strong in the first race. Shimon Frelich beats out championship leader Mike Quint into P5, so Quint has to settle for P6, P5 in this evening. Frank Hamming pretty much shadowed everyone else and took a P7 as a result of the, we believe, penalty to Rorschach, so we'll discuss him in a moment. Mirko Lucchini got a great result there for Alpha Delta in the end, a P8. Junio Lopez, we discussed him at the start, but with the leaders dominating our airwaves, he gets a brilliant ninth place. Well done to him. An amazing set of races here for Kings, and they'll be absolutely thrilled with that. Menno Klont, the stalwart of our league, is P10. The remaining points are distributed to Lucas Tylene, so good recovery for him. Massimiliano Riboli, another superb drive. Federico Russo fighting back strongly. Oliver Taras, I know, he was trying to take the lead into turn one on lap one, but he fights back for 14th. Daniel Scott gets the last remaining point. James Knox, we got to witness him get a full result under his belt, so unlucky not to get a point for his efforts. That's Amari Watson with his details lost on the server side there, but he gets 17th. Jason Muscat, Matthews Dabrowski, and Patrick Rorschach are the top 20. And our remaining drivers on the lead lap are Owen Phil-Hausvik and Philip Koenig. David De Vries and Justin van der Smissen, I understand there's a very tricky running for them, so they're lapped down, but they did make it to the finish line. Robin Mulling, Sandro Van Sand, Matthews Zabinski, and Luke Mitchell all involved in early incidents, so they did not make it to the finish.
And a shout out to Ed Hunter, who predicted Tom Satherley for the race to win. He said the only person less lucky than Harry Smith at winning races, the only person less lucky than Tom Satherley at winning races is Harry Smith. So he said, by that logic, Satherley's going to win the race. And then he did. So you were right there, Ed. Ed says, congrats to Satherley, 2 new FS1 winners today. And indeed, I will echo that. It was a really good drive to win a chaotic race. He was rather benefiting from everyone else fighting themselves behind him at the end. But even so, he did well to get himself into that position. We didn't even see the move for the lead, but it was done nonetheless. And he made it work.
Absolutely. Chris Williamson for the broadcast team. He's looked at the data and he's made the approximation. I have to verify it beyond all doubt, but a New Zealand national has not won in GPVWC in 21 years. So the wait is over. 2003 has been bridged by Tom Satterley in 2024. So congratulations to the Kiwis. I hope when they get up in the morning for work that they hear the great news here in Monza that they have a victorious driver in the FS1 category. So congratulations. But now we'll take a very quick break to get ready for anyone who wishes to speak on the interview segment of our broadcast. So just one moment, we'll get that set up right away.
Okay, I don't know if anyone can hear me right now, but if you are, we are swapping over. We just had a little hiccup in the GPWC room. Okay, are we live?
No.
Okay.
Thanks. Happy. All set up, ready to have a chat with anyone who comes forward. And the first nominee, I can see Caitlin, is Pavel Andriuski, but now Szymon Frelick has jumped in. So who would you prefer, Frelick or Andriuski?
Oh God, you're giving me the hard question
Meunier's
right
here.
away.
I think Meunier, yeah, to be honest, perhaps he has usurped them both. So
go on, you're leading the broadcast today. You make the choice.
Sorry, Poland will have to prioritize the race 1 winner. Loic, can you hear us?
Yes.
Well, I have to say, race 1 was absolutely extraordinary. Brilliant driving to get the Grand Chelem. You led every single lap. You got the pole. You got the fastest lap, and you took the checkered flag. So, describe to us how you managed to pull that off.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it was just completely controlled. I didn't spend a lot of time on the car. I was fortunate enough to be given some baseline to work with, and from there I made a few adjustments, and the car was suddenly pretty decent. It felt much better than last year. So that was a lot of confidence, and you just puts you focus on your own inputs and your own pace. You keep your strategy, and that's how I got it. I was pretty good at the start to break the DRS from Frelick, which has been a key moment in that early part of the race. And yeah, after that I could just do my own thing and get in my zone, and that's pretty much how it went.
Well, in normal circumstances, when you have your competition attempting the undercut, you'd normally respond within a lap or two, but you had so much confidence that you could take the soft tires very long into the stint. I think about 17, 16 laps. And
Yeah,
you held
actually,
it on to there. So
the softs got very comfortable. And when I saw him, like when I was looking at my relatives and he was stuck in a train and he kept losing time. So I thought maybe it's just not a good time to box, and I was feeling confidence in the car to go a few extra. So that was also very important on how to pit at the right time.
Absolutely. Caitlin, do you have any questions? Oh, no, she's muted. So, are you there, Caitlin?
Yeah, I'm here, don't worry.
Okay, do you have any questions?
Well, that was a fantastic drive, Loic. Amazing fighting in race 2 as well. Looked a little bit frenetic at times. Was it all nice and clean?
Well, there's been a few hidden beings. Some people I tried to had good fights with. Harry, notably at the end, was very nice. Others were a bit more aggressive, a bit more blocky. So it was much more difficult to get their way through, and eventually when they try to defend too hard, they lose their own side. So I think they can, well, it's racing. Sometimes you do too much, and that cost them more than me. So I had to pick them one by one, slowly, and unfortunately too slowly because I couldn't catch Tom at the end, but still enough for good points.
Fair enough. I really liked your outside-inside overtakes at the first chicane. I thought that was a very unique way of doing it, but you made it work. Loic, I think you're good enough for a full-time Super League drive. When is it going to happen?
Next year, probably.
Next year, very good.
Yeah, I still have my drivers, you know.
Well, I'm looking forward to interviewing you more when you inevitably end up on the podium over there.
Oh, I can't write that in the books already, but I look forward to our next times, hopefully.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Loic. I think Pavel, due to Parallax Volpino's success, we should have a chat with him next, and then Szymon afterwards. So let's have a word with Pavel.
Final words. I
go ahead.
dedicate this victory to my engineer, who's the absolute best, and to Alex Lihu for last year's events. This is his payback. Love him.
Yeah, we've had so many discussions about Alex Lihu last season. So yeah, it's great that he still has a positive contribution to make here in FS1 in 2024. So, yeah, we'll let you go, Loic. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Now let's have Pavel in. Hi, Pavel. Can you hear us?
Hi, hello everyone.
Hello. So perhaps it's fair to say this was the best set of races for Parallax Alpino in 2024, with race 1 in particular being a highlight. Tell us all about it.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful from the first moments actually. The preparations went really good. It wasn't the case that we had 1 month to prepare for this race because the amount of preparations were quite the same compared to other rounds. But I think the setup had clicked in the first possible moment, and this was the very good beginning point to get forward and prepare ourselves to the race. As you saw, a qualification round went pretty good. I think it was a surprise even for myself to get third spot on the grid and for the first race. And talking about the race, unfortunately the dirty air spoiled everything because in race 1 we had actually no fight between each other. The Loic was on another level. Szymon was another level compared to me and compared to Loic, and I was on another level compared to the guys behind me. So the dirtier also added to this complexity, and you know, it was, I think, boring race also for the guys watching it from the commentator booth or the viewers and spectators. But for me, it's a really rewarding race because I finished this first podium in my GPWC career, and I'm really happy about it. In the second race, I've decided to go a bit aggressive because I selected the softest tire for this race, for this track, and it was a bit close and a bit spot on on the first lap because I have overtook the Mike Quint, I think. Yeah, it was him, and then I tried to overtake Harry, but I don't know what happened. I think that maybe the dirtier was again the factor, or the Tom was lifting to give Harry some kind of lift and dirtier to compete and not that get overtaken by me. And this did work because I have run over my tires and started to lose some grip and some position compared to them. And yeah, that was it. In the latest stages, Loic has joined our fight between me and Harry. We made a couple of mistakes, but I think it was really close and really entertaining battle between me and Harry. Unfortunately, Loic in the, I think, second to last lap has touched Harry, and he got a little bit offset and hit me. I was forced to cut the chicane, and the game said to me, you know what, you have to give position back to Harry, but also to Loic, and this was the end for me of dreaming about second podium. And you know, I get it, I accept it, but it wasn't the cleanest race from Loic in the second one, and I think I could have get this podium easily if he didn't give his voice in this battle.
Yeah, it is one of those things, but I suppose, the Parallax Alpino team worked so well together as a pairing, particularly in race 1 to keep Mike Quint behind. But I suppose, now that you've got a new lease of life in your championship, what do you feel you can do for the rest of the season?
You know, it all depends how our preparations will go. This track was really strong for us. Patrick was also spot on from the very first lap and of preparations, and his input to these preparations were also very good. You know, every race is another story. We try to keep a little bit calm and not to get our hopes up and see how it go out. Of course, we will try to get as high as possible, but the round count is limited, and we have got only 4 rounds to go. So we'll try to get our best from everyone in every round to the goal.
Absolutely, but yeah, the main thing is you keep your position, you pull away as best you can from Lunark and co. That'll be the objective, I'm sure, Pavel. But really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Take care. Have a good evening. So that was Pavel Andriuski. So now let's get Szymon Frelick in. He's been waiting patiently. So let's have a chat with Szymon. Welcome in, Szymon. Can you hear us?
Yep.
So, yeah, perhaps it's a bit unfortunate that Loic Mounier put in one of the most dominant performances I've ever seen in race 1. So you probably don't have much to think about that. But what can you tell us from your point of view from race 1?
I didn't practice enough. I did quali practice and wet driving practice. I did not do race practice at all, and it showed. That was probably the worst race I've had in a long time when it comes to making mistakes on during the race. Just after finishing lap 5, it's just every lap something went wrong. I messed up the first chicane, I messed up the second chicane, I went wide in Lesmos. It just kept accumulating, and you can see you could see the gap growing to Loic, but I guess I'm lucky I was still quick enough to hold off Pavel, so I was still in a fight for P2. And yeah, the tires were not the greatest because I overpushed them. I boxed because I was told it was going to be clear when I boxed, but I think we had the wrong pit delta, so I came out in 4-car traffic. And then someone spun in front of me in that train, and I had to avoid in Lesmo 2 going off the track into the gravel. Lost another position.
One of the BMS, so that's Szymon. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Nothing you could have done.
And then lost position to Pavel, but I was close enough to fight. Had a little squabble in Della Rosia. Tried to do a Piastri move. It did not work. And yeah, I let Pavel go, but I've had a chat with Pavel, and he said that he thought he pushed me off in that chicane, so he let me back through on a run up to Ascari. I thought I just pulled a overtake on him, but no, he just let me go. A bit unfortunate for him, and from then it was just the second stint was better, but still a couple of mistakes. It was just keeping Pavel at bay and bringing back the P2.
Yeah, I suppose thinking a bit ahead in race 2, you were in a very fierce battle with Patrick, I think it was, and you were trying around the outside into Della Rosia again. So you were on the grass, pretty much 2 wheels on the grass, and you did make the overtake stick, but a bit of contact. I'm sure you were waving your wheel in anger, but at least you got away scot-free, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I guess it wasn't in anger; it was more annoyance. I wasn't raging at the wheel. I was just a bit fed up because that was the second time this race he just washed me onto the grass in the braking zone. First, it was into the first chicane, 2 laps before, I think, and then this one, he just he drifts to the outside where I was, and just forced me on the grass twice. So that was the annoyance behind that. But yeah, race 2, an eventful race that was. I was tagged lap 1 in the first chicane, lost 2 positions. That was great. And I had the Loic and Robin crash in front of me. Had to avoid that as well. But yeah, some nice overtakes on Mike. I think that was a decent move, and yeah, somehow I made the move around Patrick work. I think it's because the contact unsettled him. He kind of went sideways and just allowed me to go through. So I got my Piastri move in the most unlikely circumstances, but yeah, the result is decent, P2 and P5, but from my perspective, that was not the best of what I could have done this race.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I suppose that this time last year, it was a must-win situation for you in the championship to try and beat Jack, and you did do that. So that probably will hopefully carry on using that motivation with the remaining 4 rounds to see how best you can do, knowing that, of course, your job is just try and get as close as you can to perhaps Harry Smith in 5th. That would be a great job if you can do that.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm just approaching each race individually. Just I'm not in a fight for anything. I'm just racing for fun. I was excited for the wet racing today, and it did not deliver. But yeah, just see the season out and get prepared for next season because I already got something arranged.
Lovely stuff. We'll probably give you the space you need to announce that when it's ready. But yeah, thanks so much for your time, Shimon. I'll let you go. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So as promised, I'll get Harry Smith in next, and if Tom can hear me, we'll let him have the spotlight at the end for his amazing first victory. So we'll get Harry in right now. Hi, Harry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Lovely stuff. So race 1 from the point of view of Netrex, perhaps with Mari struggling, it was down to you to pull out the stops for the team. So the victory was long gone, unfortunately. So you can only do your best with P6, wasn't it?
It was P6 in qualifying.
Yeah.
P8 in the race.
P8 in the race 1, beg your pardon, yeah.
Can't remember the last time I had a race 1 where I finished ahead of where I started, but it's somewhat to work on. But I'd rather start higher up and go back than start at the back and stay there. So
yeah, so that's fair enough. So anything that comes to mind in race 1 that you can enlighten us on?
Well, I had Frank chasing me down at the end, so I had to fight him pretty hard because in the back of my head, I sort of knew this is going to be reverse grid because I could see Merling behind also catching, and I was considering, right, do I just, when Frank catches me, if he gets a run, do I just let him go and protect the position from Merling and just it's 1 point loss, but I was like, no, I'll have to fight it because it just gives me a better chance in reverse grid. So that's what I did. Thankfully, I managed to keep it P8, got reverse grid pole, and then unfortunately couldn't finish where I started again. Still went backwards, but when the only way you can go is backwards, it's kind of hard. But
well, in fairness, Oliver Taras spinning just meters away from you in the first chicane in lap 1 on your reverse grid pole, that must have been scary.
Yeah, I ended up turning into Tom because I was too busy looking at where Oliver was going. I was like, he's braking way too late here. And then obviously he went off, and I was just like, right, okay, just avoid him because it sort of looked like he might come back on the track at the turn 2. But yeah, I just sort of lost track of where Tom was. We both picked up a little bit of damage, but I mean, all credit to him. He was able to go on and finish first, and I did my best to try and keep it in second. Nearly got it on the last lap when Loic made a mistake, but still decent points for the team. I think we were fairly equal with Malta for this round. I think I think the point swing is only 1 or 2 points. So as long as we keep it like that for the rest of the season, we'll probably win the constructors, and that's the aim. That's what we have to fight for from now on.
Yeah, it is a wonderful opportunity to get something in the trophy cabinet in the season. So I wish you the best of luck. And one final question there: how do you think Baku will go?
I've never driven Baku on R-Factor 2, so I think Baku and Singapore, as long as they don't end up in the wall at some point, that's what I'm going to class as a success, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
just down to preparation, I guess, and learning the track properly, because this round, like, I wasn't prepared at all, really. It's probably the one I've done the least amount of practice for. Somehow pulled out the point. Well, it was not really a 0.3 in quality, it was a 0.4, let's be honest. It was a 0.397 or something like that. And yeah, Amari spends the entirety of practice 0.2 quicker than me all the time, or even more. And yeah, then come race day, I don't know what happens. I just sort of always sort of managed to, well, I say always, don't want to jinx it, but sort of managed to pull it out of the bag and just score the points and put the points on the board.
Yeah, that's certainly the formula to success for NetRex. So keep up the good work, Harry. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And unfortunately, I think Tom had to get going again, so I've just missed out on him, unfortunately. So I do apologise to Tom. He didn't get a chance to bask in his glory, so I'll just give him well wishes in private, I'm sure, when possible. So yeah, I do regret missing out on that. But of course, you have the balance. Of course, Harry had been waiting a good while for his turn. So yeah, it's just one of those risks you have to take at the moment. So if Caitlin wishes to have a final word, we'll get going for this wonderful evening back in Formula Sprint 1 action. So Caitlin, what were your overall thoughts with this pair of races?
Yeah, well, I'd just like to say thank you for having me. It's always good to be alongside you, Eoin, and thank you as well to Remco de Zeeuw for the cameras and the broadcast that you've seen today, especially for quickly coming up with solutions to deal with the issues that we were having on Discord earlier on. But yes, thank you very much for that, guys. And I'm quickly going to plug GPVWC Super League as well, because I'll be commentating that a week from tonight. Next week, of course, if you keep your eyes on the GPVWC YouTube channel, we've got Super Lights on Tuesday, and we've got Super League on Thursday. Do we also have an Academy race, potentially? I think at some point we have Academy. But anyway, keep your eyes on GPVWC YouTube channel, and you'll be able to hear my lovely tones. I'm joking. Alongside, presumably, Ryan Elliott in the broadcast booth next week.
Yeah, we do look forward to that, Caitlin, and your time is very much appreciated. So Ed got to enjoy this event as a spectator, so he deserved a bit of a break. But I'm sure Team EH will be raring to go, all willing in 2 weeks' time for Baku. So yeah, absolutely wonderful to tag along with yourself and Remco here as usual. We had to adjust our usual policy, but yeah, we got through it. So great thinking on the spot there, guys. So much appreciated. And that's where we'll leave it for this evening's broadcast. It is great to be back after the time away and the countdown to Halloween night, where the championship may be decided in Sao Paulo, Brazil. But of course, it's still another few weeks away to that. But it is just one fortnight to go until we get racing again in Azerbaijan. So for myself, Eoin Harmon, Caitlin Penny as my co-commentator, and Remco de Zeeuw in broadcast direction. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.